I was born in Iran and I'm Jewish, born in a very discriminating country that kind of doesn't make it really easy for any other religions or things that fall outside of the rules and regulations. It was really tough. And there was a revolution in 1979, which most people left either before or immediately after. My family was super late into the game, so we left around 1996. And yeah, it's been a blessing to be able to come to the US. Obviously, complete freedom to be who we want to be and be able to kind of do and give back to the world.
So what was it like? I mean, you're 8 or 9 years old, you get over here, obviously a culture shock. What's it like to you?
I do have a pretty crazy story of something that I remember, a memory from Iran. In first grade, they would line us up at 7 in the morning in the front yard of the school. And the first 30 minutes was a little exercise. And the exercise was they would line us up arm length apart from each other. So imagine like a little 8-year-old me or a little old somebody's kid. And all of a sudden they would start chanting, "Death to Israel, death to America, death to Israel, death to America." And at the time, I knew what both countries were. I had some association with Israel because I'm Jewish. So I would skip over Israel, but I would say death to America because I knew about America, but I had no association with it. And that's the kind of like negativity and stuff that's out there that exists. And lo and behold, came to America and actually ended up visiting Israel 11 times since then. Love both countries. Obviously, I think very similar countries in culture, things like that. But that's the kind of like yin yang world that I kind of experience.
Yeah, and that's a lot when you're 8 or 9 years old. And I'm going to come back to mentors. You mentioned them earlier, and I'm going to circle back around because I've got some questions. But you've clearly accomplished a lot in the decade or more you've been practicing. But I want to start back at UCLA when you decide that you're going to give the LSAT, the LSAT a shot. Was going to law school something, Sam, that was always on your radar, or did that develop while you're in undergrad?
It was not. Actually, it was a lot of pressure. It was actually my friends that just took the LSAT. I'm like, sure, I'll take LSAT too. But at the time, I was also very entrepreneurial growing up. I had a tutoring company where I would basically tutor in high school. I would tutor middle school students and elementary students. And that was always my passion. But I was like, but I knew if I go and get into law, then it kind of enabled me to do whatever I want in life. And it obviously helps. It helps with writing, with be able to analyze things and be able to kind of get things done. Essentially, it kind of forces you to, makes you like a doer.
It's funny, it sounds like your first gig, you were able to marry two things you liked. One, being an entrepreneur making money, and second, teaching. So that's very interesting. So I know from an interview you gave on another podcast that it was while you were in law school, you realized you may want to do more than simply practice law. And I know you talked about having this entrepreneurial spirit early on. So when you have these realizations, Sam, and you're kind of thinking to yourself, what do I want to do? Did you panic and think, oh my God, what am I doing in law school? Or did you see it as an opportunity to use the tools you have and use them in the legal field?
It was definitely a panic for sure. It was because it's a reality check because I realized I'm like, wait, I worked my butt off up to this point, and I'm also working my butt off right now as we speak in law school. I'm also going to be working my butt off trying to pass the bar for what? What did I sign up for? And I was kind of, honestly, I could say I was depressed. The first time in my life and the only time in my life that I was depressed. But I went on a soul search kind of journey, which for me, soul search just meant talk to as many people as possible, seek as many resources, read as many books, pretty much get my hands on whatever input that I could get in to figure out what I should do. And what really was my tipping point for me was just is somebody in law school who was ahead of me, 1 year ahead of me, and he pretty much started his law firm out of law school. And just the fact that one person that I knew personally was able to do it, I'm like, if he can, so can I. And I realized that nothing changed. I mean, my skills didn't change. Things didn't change. All it was my own mindset of what's possible. And then I noticed later on when I started doing my legal academy and things like that, I realized I want to be that and I want to share that. And a lot of times it's like this weird world where sometimes when I talk about myself, some people that are maybe a little bit pessimist or a little bit weird could think like, oh, he's talking about himself. Why is he talking about himself? Or sharing the things that he does. But my intent behind sharing those things is really sharing that it's possible. No, you could do what you want. So go do it. So life is short. Go do it. So that's the kind of mindset that I try to be and try to instill into others as well.
Where did the entrepreneurial spirit come from? Was that from your parents or was it just something that bubbled up inside you?
I think there's some stuff. Yeah, it's both nurture and what is it? Nurture and
nature.
Nature.
Nurture and nature, yeah.
It's definitely both. So I think there's some stuff in the genes. I think my dad was a little bit more entrepreneur. So genetics that way, and then nature kind of being surrounded by it. I remember my father, he was a business guy, and he would sell like homeware and things like towels and stuff like that. But as much as I was concerned as a little kid, I would just see him on the phone, and he would work from home, and I'm like, what does he do? And I realized he just basically is making deals just from a phone call. He would buy, I guess, from a wholesaler and then ship it to a different place, and just from that he would make deal. And I realized, wait a minute, you don't necessarily have to go in a factory and work. You could actually be a little bit more macro and just make calls and make connections and things like that. So again, same idea. Seeing it is believing it, and believing it helps you do those things.
And so once you graduated, Sam, did you immediately hang out your own shingle, or did you give it the traditional route to try first and get sea legs?
So I got advice when I was going through this soul searching. A friend gave me advice that, hey, if you are going to make a big move, then at least be sure that that's the right move for you. So he told me to basically wait it out for 6 months. So I believe it was about 6 months or so after this whole passing the bar and trying to figure things out. And then after 6 months or so, I went and basically got a domain, created a website, and I basically introduced myself to the world. Hey, I'm launching a law firm. Even though I have no idea what to do, how to do the service, or how to get clients, but this is what I'm going to do.
So looking back on it now, what wisdom can you share with new lawyers or law students who have dreams of literally, upon graduation and getting licensed, hanging out their own virtual shingle? And we're going to talk a lot about My Legal Academy, but just as you sit here, what words of wisdom can you share with somebody that thinks, what, I can open my own firm. How hard can it be?
It really pays to have a mentor. Really pays to have a mentor. Somebody who's already done it before you, to kind of show you that, one, it's possible, and two, that you can do it too. And third, should give you some resources for you to be able to go pursue it yourself. It definitely helps to be resourceful, be a go-getter, be proactive, and have those good traits. Nobody can teach you those things. You kind of have to I always believe like you got to have your back against the wall. That's when good things happen. If you don't have your back against the wall, good luck trying to make some change in your life. But if you do have your back against the wall, with some good timing, with good people, then anything's possible. And I can share with you, now being in this world for almost 10 years and I've seen it all, heard it all. There's so much information out there. There's so many resources for everything. Nobody has any excuse about, hey, I don't know how to do anything or how to get anything done. YouTube, books all day long. YouTube and books all day long. It's all out there. And there's also specific programs that are tailored specifically for whatever you want to do. Everything is out there online. Nothing is really, pretty much we have maxed, saturated everything when it comes to information. I think about these people that are in the knowledge space have to figure out a new game because, the jig is up. So the information is out there. It's just about doing it and implementing.
And I think when I hear you talk and I listen to your other podcasts and interviews, to do what you're doing, to be on the business side of the legal arena, you've got to be pretty darn resilient. Have you found that to be beneficial to you?
Oh yeah, that might be one of the most important traits that I think I learned from a mentor, and I try to be that. And it's kind of like it's taking away emotion from anything, whether it be mistakes or wrong decisions or things that go wrong, whatever that is. You really have to be numb to it and really kind of be a robot, as weird as it sounds. And I think I learned this trait from playing poker, which really helped. It's kind of detach myself from the luck and the no luck, or my mistakes, or the losses, or even the wins. That's the other thing too. A lot of people could be bad losers. Also, a lot of people could be bad winners. But a lot of those traits is you kind of need to be don't have feelings attached to those things.
Right. It's funny. On a spiritual note, there's St. Ignatius of Loyola has a term that I've defined as the benign indifference. Just like if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And if we don't get wrapped around the axle too much, I think things tend to go better.
Totally, and I love you brought that point, Mike. I had a conference a couple months ago, and it was this amazing 4-day experience, and it all led to the last day. And the last day, full day of learning, and then led to us going on a TMZ tour bus with drinking, and everybody was led to a rooftop party overlooking Hollywood. Amazing vibes, and everybody was feeling good. Obviously, everybody had a little bit of drinks in them, and then we were in a small little clique, and then a couple of the guys are like, Sam, what's the ultimate secret? What's the ultimate secret? And I'm like, honestly, it's very obvious. It's God. God is the ultimate secret. You could say this and you could say that. You could say delegation, you could say automation and all these other things. But the common denominator between all those things is having a belief in something that's outside of you, that makes you resilient, that makes you moral, that makes you a good person that people want to work with. All those things, ultimately, if I continue asking why, what's the ultimate common denominator, it will come down to having faith in something bigger than yourself.
I agree with you 100%. One of the main reasons that we wanted to have you on the show was that so many young attorneys are realizing that they don't need a brick and mortar office to start their own practice. And what's funny is you were doing this long before COVID hit. So what was it that attracted you to using virtual spaces to generate client leads? What was it that attracted you to that?
A lot more efficient and a lot more scalable, essentially. And I realized this because the first couple of years I was meeting with clients, potential clients, to sign them up. And I realized I was getting emails, I was getting calls, and I would also do some meetings. I'm like, while I'm having a 30-minute meeting with this particular client, well, there's 4 emails that are coming in and 2 calls are coming in at the same time. So I'm missing those 6 leads for this 1 lead. So over time, I have to say, no, sorry. It's like, I'm looking to sign up for your $2,000 service. Can I meet you in person? I'm like, sorry, no. We could do this via email. I could tell you what our service is. If you're ready, you could sign up, because I could also send 6 more emails during this time to get other people signed up. So a lot more scalable, a lot more efficient, and just a lot more enjoyable too. Where it sounds, it's the control of time and control of physical location. I'm not tied to anything. I feel like, going on a day trip or going somewhere I could. And now things are kind of autonomous. Sometimes I like going on trips without even telling my team that I'm going on trips. I just go. If I have to show up to a meeting, I'll just show up on a meeting on a Zoom, and they're like, hey, you're somewhere? I'm like, yeah, I'm birthday. Yeah, just a lot more enjoyable.
Even though we practice in different states and are at different stages in our career, one of the things we both share is a love of systems and processes. So we're going to get our geek on. So you go first. Why do you think that having systems and processes is the foundation upon which any successful law firm or business, for that matter, is built? Sam, I want to hear your answer.
Because people are hard. People is the hardest part of every business. Whether it be your people that you hire, your prospects, clients, things like that, anything people related just becomes hard. So instead, if you can just have these robots, these automations, and these things that do the same thing over and over, and the ones that don't need to require to take a PTO or do those things, I trust that over time. And I realized that myself. Obviously, we always need good people on our team. But if I can first see if a robot or a tool or something can do it, we always first try to do that. That's the first rule. Let's automate first. And then if not, we'll try to delegate.
Interesting. I think my answer may be the same as yours, but listen to what I wrote. For me, it's about making the delivery of excellent legal services as frictionless as possible. So there's no need to reinvent the wheel on every case, and all of the good that comes from that starting point, because if we make it as frictionless as possible, that frees people up to their best and highest use, which I think is a lot of what you're saying, the same thing.
Yeah, and over time, I don't know what the game or the name or the phrase is. Over time, if there's some people don't have an efficient system and someone else is having an efficient system, over time, the efficient system will ultimately win if you have an infinite amount of time. So it's just a matter of time that you're kind of forced into this game not because of you, but because other people are playing that game.
Well, I think it's very Darwinian. I mean, it is survival of the fittest. And if you and I are both lawyers and you have to reinvent the wheel on every case, Sam, and I don't, I win.
Exactly.
All things being equal.
Exactly. And a lot of people kind of get upset about it or get frustrated over that. It's just, again, you gotta be kind of emotionless when it comes to these things and just play the game. Don't play the game that you like to play, just play the game that's being played by the system.
Give the listeners an example, Sam, of a process or a system that you're talking about that you simply couldn't live without.
Well, something that I think that I use a lot more than other people is ChatGPT. I know a lot of people talk about it and there's some courses and things like that, but really ultimately it just comes down to using it. And what I do is I make sure that whatever that I want to use, it's always accessible, open. That's the easiest way to actually make sure that you're actually using something. So what I did was over time, I realized that I could create specialized agents. A lot of people, when they come to ChatGPT, they date their GPT. It means they come in, hey, how you doing? I have some questions. Can you answer this for me? And then come out and then come back and ask them the question. Instead, what I did was I try to get almost married to a ChatGPT agent. And what I mean by that is I try to give one of these conversations as much information as possible. Okay. And I don't create new conversations. I just go back to the same conversation as long as it's related to the same topic. So I have these agents that are specifically built for each law firm and sometimes specialized tasks. Just say one for marketing, one for social media, one for creating my hooks, let's just say, different things like that. And I try to use it on a daily basis and also find out it's not only does it help you come up with ideas, but also the written words. A lot of times also it could be a good kind of mentor. If you're overthinking, what should I do? You just throw it in there and at least will push you towards what you should do. So yeah, that's been the ultimate tool for the past 12 months.
So here's something that's paradoxical, and I want to see if you agree with this. I know it's something that I work on with some of our younger attorneys, and maybe you encounter this too with the folks you work with. That's getting people to understand that systems are not built to constrain their work. They're meant to free them up to do their best work. What are your thoughts on that?
Well said. Spot on. Not just more efficient, but as you said, just better. Because the other thing too is when you create a system out of it. The system is refined over time. You're never going to stick with the same system, right? The good thing about it is you can go back to that system and constantly refine it and improve it. And over time, those micro improvements over time, after a year of those making those small little changes, all of a sudden you have the best email or best funnel that talks specifically to your potential clients' problems. So that when the next person comes, like, this person really knows me really well. Well, no shit. It's because I've been talking to the same person for 3 years. You're just happen to be the 2000th client to come in.
Right. So staying on talking about this next generation of lawyers and these new lawyers, one of the things you mentioned in an interview you gave about a year ago, you've alluded to now, was that the kind of traditional web pages a solo practitioner or small firm might use actually run the risk of overwhelming potential clients with this information. Can you talk about how that works psychologically, Sam?
Yeah. So in the past 20 years, it's just the mindset has been give more information to be able to give people more reasons to be able to sign up. But over time, once you start running some tests and you start testing different messaging, what I've learned is less is more. Less is more and more direct and more clear. Clarity in marketing is everything. And over time, people's attention span has dramatically fallen off thanks to Instagram and YouTube and TikTok, unfortunately. So you got to understand how people think and what gets their attention and really hone in on that and nothing more than that. Less is more. So over time, my emails and texts, the websites and funnels and everything has become not necessarily shorter, but more straight to the point.
I know from another interview you gave that you want a client experience to be a series of small steps instead of one giant commitment. Why is that?
Because we're humans and humans are lazy. Yeah, and I've learned this and I got experience from signing up thousands of clients. And we run bunch of these tests and these marketing things that I would launch. Just say if I would try to get people, essentially just get them to sign up from the get-go, I would have maybe 1% conversion rate. That means 1 out of 100 people will go sign up. But once I started creating these funnels and I started tracking my numbers, I'm like, wait a minute, 5%, 6%? That's 5 times better than I'm signing up just by getting people to first say, I don't need anything from you. All I want you to do is just give me your contact information. Great. Now that you give that to me, all I want you to do is watch this video. Oh, you watch this video? All I want you to do is to go book a call with me. Oh, you booked the call with me? All I want you to do is to go look at this retainer agreement. So it's that kind of breaking down the steps and kind of getting people focused on the one thing they have to do. And as long as you do that, yes, there might be some people that might fall off and be like, hey, just give it to me and let me sign. But overall, when you're looking at a pool of 100 people, when you break it down like that and you simplify it towards that one step, then your conversion rates are probably 5 times more.
Let's talk about My Legal Academy. First, what is it?
It's an online program to help lawyers achieve their full potential with their law firm, or at least get close to their full potential.
And who is your target participant?
Law firm owners who are looking to grow.
Where did the idea come from?
From me going through the process myself and learning about what it takes to grow. And then I started applying these concepts to everything that I teach is based on things that I'm currently doing right now. So I've been at it for 9-10 years. I'm still running at this point 4 law firms, and whatever that I apply and I learn from that experience, I shared those as resources, templates, and systems. And then we also, in the past year and a half or so, we've been able to build an implementation support team that follows our systems and SOPs to be able to go implement these things for you. A lot of people found out, yes, it's great to learn it. We don't try to teach stuff. We're just trying to make sure these things gets implemented for you, whether that be systems, getting more clients, automations, now a lot of AI stuff, and a lot of stuff, honestly, that's not really shared publicly. It's just it's very hard to talk about everything that we share. But yeah, if it's just somebody that you're looking to grow and you're looking to kind of be strategic with your growth, then that's basically what we do.
Something you said in an interview that struck me was that by creating these kinds of systems, it makes it easier for attorneys to say the dreaded 2-letter word, no. And like we talked about in the cold open, I do think there is this tendency for attorneys to want to help. And on top of that, there's just the natural fear of saying no to business and wondering where the next case is going to come from. So why is it important, Sam, for a young attorney to learn when to say no? And was that something that took you a while to get comfortable with?
Totally. And you got to know what stage you're at. So, if you're still growing, take your opportunities and try every angle and see what's going to bring you whatever you want in life. But over time, once you get to a certain level, then the only way to grow is to by being laser focused on your 1 to 3 goals for the year and nothing else. So I could, not that I've been exposed to everything, I could go and try to do 1,000 things, but I don't. I say no to 997 of them, and I try to focus on my 3 goals. Nothing else matters. A lot of times I found a lot of people don't understand this, or my friends are like, hey, can I talk to you? I have a quick question. I'm like, would love to, but I can only talk to you maybe after 5 p.m. You kind of have to create those rules for yourself, be strict with it. Obviously still be human. If somebody needs help, try to help,
Sure.
but have your rules for yourself so that other people don't make your rules for you.
It's funny you saying that made me think of two things. One is if you want to have boundaries, you have priorities, you have to set boundaries, which it sounds like you're doing. And also it's a truism, Sam. We teach people how to treat us.
You create your own rules. Nobody creates the rules for you. And I deal with that. I deal with that all the time inside of our program. Is I share something, this will be like an ideal way. And then again, whenever I share things, it took me a couple of years to be able to figure these things out. And then I go share it. And a lot of people obviously have fear, uncertainty, and doubt right away. It kicks in. It's like, what do you mean? And then give me all the reasons why it wouldn't work out. So I always try to listen. And I still say at the end, it's all totally up to you. So if this is part of your desire, let's at least make that a goal. Let's put it out there, write it down, and then let's work on it. Maybe it's not gonna happen overnight, and it's not gonna happen over a couple of weeks. But if you at least shoot for it and you want it, then it makes it a lot more likely to happen.
I agree. As we start to wrap up, there's another thing you and I share, and that's an unwavering belief in the power of mentorship. And I know you've told the story on other podcasts, but could you talk about your mentor? Because it may surprise folks, but I think in the interview, and I think it was about a year ago, you said you spoke with this person nearly every day.
Yeah, and I still do. It's been now 5 years of having my close mentorship, and now obviously friendship and even fathership, I would call it at this point. It's crucial. But now confidently say it's been a win-win. And because he's been an amazing mentor, I've been an amazing mentee to him. So I'm sure I bring as much value into his life as he brings into my life. And I've kind of flipped the script in the past year. My mindset is, what can I do to him? And he could attest that I've been instrumental in helping him refocus and get his schedule right. And it's the way that it kind of worked out, where he kind of mentored me, and now I help mentor other people, and now I'm kind of mentoring him back. It's a win-win-win across the entire system.
It's funny how the roles change within a relationship over time.
Really.
If folks are interested in My Legal Academy, or they want to connect with you directly because maybe they want to take they're starting a firm, or then maybe they want to take it to the next step, or maybe they're working 70 hours a week and they're just burned out, what's the best way for them to reach you, Sam?
So if you made it to this point of the show, there's a really good reason. So if you have, I highly encourage you to just go on YouTube and just search for My Legal Academy, or go on Google, on Facebook, or go anywhere. Just search for My Legal Academy, or go search for my name, Sam Mollaei. Look me up. I lead by example. I try to share as much value as possible. I'm playing a super long-term game. Like if you check back with me for 30 years, I'll be doing more or less the same thing, kind of doing my thing with my law firms, sharing what I know best. And yeah, check it out. Check us out, and just go to mylegalacademy.com, and whenever you're ready, book a call to speak to our team so we could tell you exactly how we help lawyers grow their law firms.
All right, so my last questions are really going to be framed around this belief of mine that you're a lifelong learner. So that's going to frame my last 3 questions. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it. I love this guy.
First, what great books did you read in 2023 that you can share with our listeners?
Ooh, let me bring it.
Okay, he's going off camera. He's going to get a book.
I was gonna go. It's in my living room, but it's Elon Musk's biography.
Okay.
I know Elon Musk is a very polarizing figure. I'll give him that. But at the same time, he could be one of the most influential and best people to learn from when it comes to business. And the book does such a great job of explaining that, hey, yes, not everybody's perfect. Every character in the Bible has flaws, and he's definitely one of those. So he definitely has his flaws, but he has some amazing insights about the future, about how to scale businesses and things like that that anybody could apply to their businesses. And honestly, I think it's been the most impactful book that I've read in a very long time. My mind is blown, and there's things that I'm right now applying to my law firms that I think are gonna give me the competitive edge of people in my space. So definitely that's one book. Another book that I highly recommend, that I always recommend a lot of people to read, the book called The One Thing by Gary Keller, especially those people that love productivity. It's an amazing book. I've been getting our team to read this book right now.
Okay, good. And we will drop that in our show notes. Second question, what podcasts can you recommend to lawyers who are interested in the business of practicing law?
Actually, I don't listen to too many podcasts, and I know I feel bad saying that, but I watch a lot of YouTube.
Okay.
Watch a lot of YouTube from all over, just so many different things. And what I try to do is I unsubscribe and I dislike and I unfollow a lot of people. As much people that I follow, I try to do that too, because your time is everything. So I try not to learn from everywhere and everything. Over time, I try to optimize my learning sources.
All right. So this third one, either it's going to be a softball or it's going to be a high fastball to the chin. You ready?
Let's do it.
If you could go back to younger Sam at his graduation day in 2013 from Southwestern Law School, what 2 pieces of advice would you give him? And ladies and gentlemen, Sam hasn't left the room. He's thinking, just so you wonder.
Hire quicker. And I feel like once I found out about the power of systems and scaling and hiring. Try to be as aggressive as I could, but you could always hire more and hire quicker.
Sam Mollaei, thank you, man, for being on the show today. I thoroughly enjoyed our time, and it has flown by.
Appreciate you, Mike. Keep doing what you're doing. I hope you do it for another 20 years.
God, from your mouth to God's ears. This is Mike Bassett with Legal Grounds. Be easy, everybody.